Welcome to the Pure Prison Podcast, a Society First production. My name is Shai Hillman. Before we begin, we want to give an introduction of our goals, and that is to provide a platform that identifies both the problem and the solutions to the criminal justice system. The purpose behind Pure Prison Podcast is to give a voice not only to those who have been impacted by the system, but also to those who are positively impacting the system. Society First wants to ensure that all guests feel free to express their thoughts and beliefs. With that being said, not all views and beliefs of those interviewed are necessarily the views of Society First. With that, we hope that we will inspire you to get involved, for it's only together that we will make a difference. Welcome back to Pure Prison, guys. I am so excited to have two huge advocates. They are doing big things, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, where they're from, what they do, and why they do it. Let me go ahead and bring them in. ML, can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, and why you do it?
Sure. My name is ML Smith. I am located in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm a lifelong resident, and I do criminal justice advocacy, honestly, in many areas, from healthcare, education, reentry. But my main, focus currently is my position with MADP, and that stands for Missourians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty. And so with that, I do abolition work for the death penalty. My state is an active executing state, and a lot of people don't understand that. They executed someone last year and possibly this year as well. So with these active executions and capital cases going on, I have a lot of work to do. I am a justice impacted person myself. I have been incarcerated twice. And I just started dedicating my life to, supporting those people that I left behind and those people that are, caught up in the system and don't really have a voice. I try to use whatever small voice that I have. I try to use it to uplift, these people, these marginalized community members, inside and out. And like I said, the main focus right now is my anti-death penalty work.
Wonderful. That's incredible. Now, Kenneth, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
My name is Kenneth Nixon. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I was recently exonerated in February of 2021. I am a criminal justice reform advocate for all of the obvious reasons. There's serious flaws with our system. I spent 15 years and 9 months incarcerated for a crime that I did not commit before I was eventually exonerated. There are a lot of things that I would like to fix about the system, or at least make an attempt to fix about the system.
Got it. Now, where is your location? Where are you at?
Michigan.
In Michigan. Wow. Okay. Now, you guys are a part of you guys are a part of a lot of organizations, but one of them is Dream Corps Justice, correct?
Correct.
Now, how did you guys get into that? And what do you do there? Do you do the same work for them that you do in your other advocacy areas? I mean, how does it tie in?
Well, I'll say that I was connected to Dream Corps some years ago, actually, while I was incarcerated. I was incarcerated during COVID, actually. I was in federal prison. So with that, I started communicating with people that I know in organizations concerning the conditions, how we were being treated, how horrible the situation was. And I was connected to someone named Lewis Reed, and he's formerly the national organizer for Cut 50 became Dream Corps Justice, and Lewis has moved on. But I started communicating with Lewis. I kept in contact with him. I came home July of 2020, and established those connections to different organizations. Started doing advocacy work, speaking to people about the situation with COVID in prisons. I had several news interviews, calling senators and, congressmen and trying to get something done. We had one lady still in there that was 70 years old. She had severe COPD, and it was vital that they let her out, and they were being ignorant about letting her out. So I was trying to advocate for her. So a few months later, I was contacted by Tina and the team at Dream Corps and asked about doing Day of Empathy, which is a national day of action, the largest national day of action for criminal justice reform. And I started, those plans, and we had a great day of empathy. And so I'm really just connected to Dream Corps because they are dedicated to helping the people on the ground, the people in the cities and the states and the local communities where, we have the passion and a dedication, but we just need that network and that support from national organizations. So I've been connected to Dream Corps since then.
I love it. And we will be having an interview with some people that are at Dream Corps just as later in the week. And that's very exciting because you're absolutely right. They work with grassroots, they help and they're dedicated. Very excited. And what about you? How did you get involved a little bit, Kenneth?
When I came home, I kind of hit the ground running with my advocacy work. I was, making a lot of noise and getting a lot of stuff, riled up. And it was sort of organic that I got in contact with the Dream Corps organization. Another lady from Michigan that kind of took notice to my strengths and advocacy. And she connected me with the Dream Corps organization. And, shortly thereafter making contact, I was Tina reached out to me. Tina at Dream Corps reached out to me, and it's sort of been like an organic development from there. They have been pushing me, in the right direction and giving me the resources and the tools I need to ensure that I can take my advocacy to the next level.
When I tell you, it is such a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful. This is what I'm talking about. And this is society. You guys know that I'm in an organization called Society First. And that's one of our things is let's pull it together when we network like that, when there's someone that helps like that and we get that network, we start banding together and we have numbers then. And that's what matters. Now, tell me a little bit. I know that you guys are going to be branching. You're going to be doing a new campaign, right? Cohorts, is that what this is called?
So the Dream Corps has developed a cohort basically to bring advocates in, like I said, on the ground, local grassroots people together to really support them and to educate them on, organizing is not necessarily easy. We all have a passion. We all, a lot of us are, impacted by the system personally or through family. And we all want to get involved. We all want to do something, but actually being effective and knowing how to get things like policy passed and to speak with people in your community, those things actually need a lot of support, a lot of quote unquote training to get good with that. So Dream Corps started a cohort, and Tina reached out to me and, told me about it. And of course I wanted to be involved. And so this is an ongoing process. This is not, something where I come in and first day I know everything about organizing or I know everything about advocacy or policy work. I specialize in a lot of policy work because incarcerated, I was a law clerk. So that's my area also. And so just getting in with the organization to hone those skills and to get connected, and also that support. This work is almost it's traumatizing. First of all, when you're wrongfully incarcerated, like Kenneth is, or when you've been in prison at all. This is I hear stories, I read cases all the time, and it's traumatizing. So just having that community, having those comrades, that's what we call each other. And this cohort is bringing, I think, like 25 of us together, and all over the country, and we're just coming together, learning. Just getting a camaraderie built and just supporting each other and reaching out to each other. So it's really a place where we get that support that we need in order to do the work on the ground. And so I'm really glad to be in the cohort and to be working with Kenneth and Tina and so many others.
This is so great. And what's your perspective on this, Kenneth? The cohort.
I think the cohort is great. I came home really raw and unpolished, but I came out, swinging and making a lot of noise. And like I said, they kind of took notice to it, and they're allowing me to continue to be, a bit brash and unconventional in my delivery. However, while at the same time handing me the tools and the resources and the support that I need to be the most effective, and the message that I'm trying to deliver and the awareness that we're trying to bring. They're allowing me a platform that I couldn't get on a local level. They're giving it to me on a national level, and the connections are immeasurable. They're unparalleled in my ability to reach out and get advice, or get information, or get instructions on how to do things the right way. Things that I didn't have prior to being brought into this cohort.
I'm just so jealous. Just wait, Tina. I'm coming. I'm so jealous because I'm listening and I'm going, yeah, I need that. Yep, that would help. You know what? I mean, and it's immeasurable because what you just said, it's what so many people come home. We come home because I was an incarcerated person also, but we come home and we have some of us have these dreams and these goals and we want to make things happen, but we don't have the sources and we don't know how, we don't know where to begin to look. And it becomes overwhelming. I mean, we're already trying to integrate ourselves back into society, and some of those things, PICS and PTSD and all of that. So it gets overwhelming. And I just want to applaud the both of you for coming out, kicking. I love it. Now, you were released in 2020, you said, ML?
Yes. So I've been to prison twice. So this last time I was in the federal system and I came home July of 2020. So coming up on a 1-year anniversary of being home. And I just really wanted to, and I told the women before I left that I would come home and help. I would get the word out. Because people really don't understand how COVID and the pandemic affected people incarcerated. It was horrible out here, but being locked up and having people who didn't know what they were doing and who were, almost apathetic to the situation, being in charge of you, basically, it was very difficult. So I told them that I would come home and try to make a change and a difference. And that's really what I've been, focused on since I came home. And, just getting in other work, like with Kenneth, I also do wrongful conviction support for people in my state who are wrongfully convicted. And the death penalty work is it's huge. There are so many aspects with federal and state and so many reasons why it's this country is still executing people. It's just a barbaric institution. Right. And so with doing that, I just really wanted to come and make a difference. I really wanted to make a difference, to have an impact. And I'm really glad that I get to do that with Dream Corps support. And also with said, being my true self. I show up as me. I don't, put on any airs, any fronts. I try to hold back my cursing as much as I can. But other than that, I show up as me. It's appreciated. We actually had our first cohort last night. And we're just real, and we're just, coming to actually do the work and feel comfortable with the fact that there are people and organizations out there that are actually supporting us.
Absolutely. There's so many things going on in life without parole. I mean, you take away people's hope, you're wrongfully convicted, you're not letting DNA be. Why are you not letting the DNA be tested? On all I'm hearing about it every day. We're hearing about people amping up the new gas chambers. I mean, what is it? What's going on? Now, Kenneth, that's right. Come back in. You got released. You were released when again?
February 18th, 2021.
Okay. So you were first. I would be sick because I was released in December of 19. Yeah, I'm just so happy for you guys. Any future plans, Kenneth?
To make as much noise as possible, to tear down some of these institutions that are withholding people, from their rights, and to make noise. It's just I find it completely asinine that in 2021, the system is still operating the way it is. It's absurd that the system still continues to operate in a way that it did in 1965. Like it doesn't make sense that, there's so many flaws that are still unaddressed in the system. My plan is to continue to bring awareness, to be as loud as possible, to be as brash as possible, to be as uncut and raw as possible, unfiltered, and continue pushing until we get some changes made.
So this is just amazing, and I'm so, so happy that it's happening, and we can't wait to help you guys and support you in any way that we can. We're fully on board, and we are. I think I'm pretty raw. And as far as the cousin goes, ML, oh, girl. Yes, it takes me sometimes everything in but you know what? I am who I am, and it is what it is. I sound like Popeye. Wish I had those muscles. I'm getting old. But we have the fire over here to you guys, and I'm just so happy. The smiles on your face, the passion that you have, it is just beautiful. We can't wait to be a part of it.
James Baldwin said that if you're not understanding, and I'm paraphrasing, if you don't understand the system and what's going on and you're not angry, there's something wrong with you. Because to understand what happens in the system and the oppression and the marginalization that continues to occur, and if you don't have that righteous indignation, there's some, you're cold, you're disconnected, something going on. To be in the system and to understand what's going on, there is no other choice but to be angry. And of course, you have ways to express that, not necessarily bad or destructive, but to like Kenneth said, getting into some good trouble and doing what you can to actually make a difference. So that's how we choose to fight, and that's how we choose to try to make a difference with that passion.
Absolutely. And like you said, there's ways to do it. There are ways, and there's I love the new innovative ways that are coming out. These loud and raw and but beautiful and in line. We're still following the rules, but we're following the rules, and we're going to make some noise. Anything else, Kenneth? What's going on?
There's a lot going on here in Michigan. We've had recently a huge number of exonerations. We just recently had the first, I believe it's the first in the nation. Our statewide conviction integrity unit had their first exoneration about 2 weeks ago. That's never happened from a statewide conviction integrity unit. There's a lot of noise being made in Michigan right now on relation to criminal justice reform, wrongful convictions, and I think there's a lot we can do from our end too. The sad thing is that a lot of the changes that are being made, from officials that have no firsthand experience of what the system looks like. They have no idea that when it takes a year to get DNA tested, they don't know what condition that guy is in that's waiting that year, for that testing to come back. Who knows if he's on his deathbed or he's suffering from COVID or, what sort of emotional state he's in. They don't know it from the other side, right? And I can speak to it from personal experience up close. And I've watched these things happen. And I think adding my voice to the movement can bring a lot of awareness to things that get overlooked. It's not a comfortable position to be in when you're already fighting, to prove that you're innocent. And now out of nowhere, here comes a pandemic. So now you're fighting for your life and you're fighting for your freedom all at the same time. Nobody explained to you that was part of your sentence, that, you had to walk around with a mask on or stay in your bed most of the day to try to prevent yourself from getting sick over something that you can't control. There's another side of being wrongfully convicted that people don't understand. There's a lot of joy and pleasure that comes when you're exonerated. What about all the suffering that you endure throughout those years while you're trying to get to that point? What about the people that will never be able to prove their innocence, right? They'll literally die in prison because the system is so flawed, or, there's some wise guy prosecutor somewhere that's refusing to allow DNA testing. What about those cases? It's just, it's absurd that in 2021 we're still having this conversation about DNA. It's absurd that we're still having this conversation about, conviction integrity units. When I went into the system, there was no such thing as conviction integrity units. There was no such thing as innocence projects. There was one innocence project in Michigan. Now we have two. And, now we have 2 innocence projects and 2 conviction integrity units. That was unheard of when I went into the system. It was DNA or nothing when I went in. And I was left to my own devices to figure out how to get out of there and how to prove my innocence. Just luckily, time progressed, mindsets progressed, the way people thought about the system progressed. And, again, there was no such thing as progressive minded prosecutors or, innocence projects, innocence clinics that deal with non-DNA cases. All of that was new. All of that has been developed since the time that I went in 2005. So there's been a lot of changes. However, that change has been slow. And I think there's a lot more that we can do to pressurize that change.
I think everybody should have an integrity unit. And it was to me when you said, we have 2 innocent projects now in Michigan and we have 2 integrity. What does that tell you? And now as a society, let's just take it and put you out there looking in. What does that tell you? You have 2 now. It means a lot of things are going wrong. A lot of things need to be looked at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's the sad side of wrongful convictions is America's dirty little secret, right? It doesn't happen like this in other countries. Let alone, in Michigan, where we're in double-digit exonerations every year. Double-digit exonerations every year. We've been top 5 for number of wrongful convictions every year since they've been keeping track of it. Now, I think that they started in like 1989 or something, and we've been in the top 5 the entire time for the amount of wrongful convictions. And the bad thing about that is, there's been a lot of wrongful convictions. However, nobody's being held responsible for this. None of the police, none of the prosecutors, none of the people that are responsible for this are being held accountable. And we've got officers in this state. We've got officers just in Detroit that are responsible for multiple wrongful convictions. Nothing happens. They retire, they go on and enjoy their pension with their feet up somewhere on the beach while people are suffering. Because wrongful convictions don't just affect the person that was sent to prison. You make multiple victims. The victim, the family that died or suffered whatever injury they suffered, they become victims. The wrongfully convicted person becomes a victim. His family becomes a victim. His kids become victims. The system, it's not fair how many people are affected by their actions, and they knowingly go on to retire. They go on to enjoy their taxpayer paid pension, and it's not fair. There's no fairness in that. There's no justice when, no one is held accountable for that. How do you call that justice when the people that are responsible, proven, we can prove that these people are responsible. There's documentation to show that they were hiding evidence. There's documentation to show that they knew this person was innocent before they sent him to prison, and nothing ever happens. There's no justice in that. There's no fairness in that. And my plan is to bring as much attention to this issue as possible. Qualified immunity needs to be done away with. We've got prosecutors that still hold office right now that knowingly are sending people to prison. There's a difference between a mistake and knowing that you're doing something wrong. Those are 2 different scenarios. That's a completely different set of circumstances. I think everybody can accept a mistake. I think we all as adults can accept I made a mistake. But when we can prove that you knowingly did something and nothing happens to you, it's a double standard. It's a double standard. If I walk across the street in front of a cop car and that light is red, he can write me a ticket for jaywalking. If that role was reversed, there's absolutely nothing I can do to him. And it's not fair. There's no fairness in that. You should be held to the same standards as everybody else.
Absolutely.
There are no mistakes. A lot of people think, I'm sorry, I want to just jump in real quick.
Please.
I've been in spaces and talking to people about different things, and people have said, oh, well, they maybe made a mistake, and when they figure it out, they'll make it right. There's no mistakes in the system. None of this is by mistake. It was literally set up and created to do exactly what it's doing. Oppressed, marginalized, and systemically enslaved people. Ain't no mistakes. So please stop. People have these rose-colored glasses on, and maybe it was a mistake. And when the judge or the warden or whoever figures that out, they'll do something. These are not mistakes. These are plans and agendas that were put in place at one point, and they continue because the people who are profiting, the people who are getting career advancements, prosecutors going on to be judges and etc. These people who profit and who advance off of this, none of this is a mistake. They do it purposely. They don't care about, actually getting it right. And also when Kenneth said that no one is held accountable, even the people who actually did it, for instance, the Central Park Five boys at the time when that happened, the person that actually did that, he went on to become a serial killer and kill more people. Yes. But they were focusing on these 5 black and brown boys who were in the park at the time. But the man who actually did it, he killed more people. So it's like, even the people that are actually guilty of these horrible crimes, you're not even doing nothing to them or caring because you didn't railroaded somebody else. So now they go on to commit crimes in obscurity. And so the whole thing is just, it needs to go. There's no justice for anyone.
And that's one of the things that we as Society First, and I personally believe it, transparency, accountability, need to be accountable for it. And I think what the public needs to know too is when the pandemic hit, all of this got put on hold. All these court cases, all of this reviewing, all of these appeals, now there's people that have this paperwork and that have been waiting to go. Yes, jump on in. Do it.
I am a firsthand witness to how the pandemic brought my freedom to a screeching halt.
Please.
I was in the process of being reviewed. My exoneration comes from a joint effort between the Innocence Project and the Conviction Integrity Unit of my county. And I was in the process of about to start the process of getting my conviction reviewed by the Conviction Integrity Unit, and then the pandemic hit. So I wound up waiting close to another year before I was exonerated because they had to figure out how to continue to do their work from home. And yeah, I'm a firsthand example of how the pandemic affected what was going on within the system. The sad thing is the horrible side of this pandemic is they didn't have a problem continuously locking people up during the pandemic. They were still arresting people. They were still sending people to jail, but they wasn't letting nobody go during the pandemic. Now think about that for a second. You didn't have no problem picking a person up and sitting them in jail, but you couldn't find a way to prove that I was innocent and get me out of jail though.
Which is overcrowded anyway, too. So you're still sticking him in there because it's mass warehousing, but this man's innocent. And listen, I've got one on my desk right now, and I can't get a single person to look at it. I can't even get the integrity unit in the county to look at it. And now, yes, and this is crazy. And I talk to people inside, and they're like, I've had my appeal in for over a year, and my heart hurts, You guys.
We've been championing here in Michigan, myself and a lot of the other fellow exonerees is, the conviction integrity units in our state are great. However, they are severely underfunded. They are working with a skeleton crew. And one of the major things that we've been pushing is more funding for the CIU. And with more funding they can properly staff the unit and thoroughly take a look at a lot of these wrongful convictions. And, a lot more people would be exonerated if they had the funding to do so. They don't have the funding. It's as simple as that. And the sad thing is we all are bringing this call to order in Michigan about this funding issue, but the people holding the purse strings they don't care. It doesn't matter to them that the CIUs are both severely underfunded, that they're lacking the necessary tools to do their jobs properly. They're lacking the necessary resources to be as effective as they could be if they had everything they needed. And the fact is, they don't. They're getting by with what they have, and it could be a lot better. They could be a lot more thorough. They could be a lot more expeditious if they had the resources they needed. It's been 3.5 months since I've been home, and no one has been exonerated since me, which is totally unfair to that guy that's sitting in prison right now. There's no logical explanation or excuse for why they don't have the necessary funding, because proof of concept is there. I'm the 28th exoneration in 2.5 years since the CIU has opened up. So proof of concept is there. We know that they can do their job. We know that they can do their job good. However, they're barely getting by. They're making it, they're scraping by with what they have. And again, back to my point a few minutes ago, where's the fairness in that? Where's the justice in that? There's no fairness or justice when the people that are meant, the entire unit is designed to recognize and fix flaws within the system. But you'll dedicate millions of dollars to prosecute people, but you won't dedicate millions of dollars to get it right and ensure that you're prosecuting the right people. It doesn't make sense.
People don't understand how easy it is to be wrongfully convicted, and how easy it is to be convicted even if you necessarily did do something, and how hard it is to get from out of under it. A conviction is basically like a contract. The jury members agree that you did something, and of course, we know contracts are hard to get out of. So trying to free yourself or free someone from a wrongful conviction is like, it's so difficult. No one in my state right now, and I'll just speak on this. There are two men actually. One is named Kevin Strickland, and he's been incarcerated for 43 years, wrongfully convicted. And Lamar Johnson has been in, I believe, 25 or 26. Now, the prosecutors' offices who, convicted them years ago, they have come out and said these men are innocent. They're trying to get, the Supreme Court and the prosecutors, the AG and governor to release these men. Still nothing's happened. This past week, Kevin Strickland, the Missouri Supreme Court said, this isn't our place to release him. So they're throwing it back to the local circuit attorney's office. And it's very hard to get from under this. But, once they convict you, it's almost like, you're there. And several people have taken notice of him because it's been a national story recently. And we have some legislators in our state who are asking our governor to release Mr. Strickland. And I really hope that happens soon. But it's just so difficult to get that out there. And people don't understand. People think it's hard to get convicted or wrongfully convicted. They just, don't understand how really easy it is. And I was, we're doing wrongful conviction work. Currently, I'm trying to get a bill passed in my state. One issue is informant, witness, snitching testimony. 60% of the people who are exonerated were convicted based upon primarily someone's wrongful testimony. And I looked at the list I have. In my state, we've had 54 exonerees since 1989. And so they do maybe one a year in Missouri. It's not that great. But I looked at the list. 6 of these people were 17 when they were convicted. And I believe 3 of them were 18. They're literally putting children on trial and in prison. And when people say, that wouldn't happen to me and I would fight and all that, you don't know. I mean, when you're 20, 25, you don't know. People don't understand how hard the court and the system is until they're caught up in it. But, it's like I looked at the list and it's 6 17-year-olds were found guilty and given life in prison at some time in our state. And these men spent 20, 25, 30 years in prison. It's a very difficult. And actually, we have a man on death row right now, Marcellus Williams, who is innocent. He's been proven innocent as well. And he's still on death row in my state because the courts and the governor are deciding what they're going to do. I don't know. We don't know. We're just literally waiting to,
They're going to decide what they're going to do.
He's actually been taken to the execution chamber 3 times, and the last time strapped in before the governor halted his execution, and they started the process to prove he was innocent. This man has been in that chair 3 times. Can you imagine that? I can't imagine.
My heart just stopped. I
Yeah,
cannot
like, when I heard that, I was like, he'd been in the seat 3 times. What?
This poor
and
man.
I talked to him several times, and he's a great man. And I just don't know, how to even process that, because I couldn't mentally, I couldn't handle it. So yeah, wrongful convictions and these issues are very serious. And I'm trying to get a bill passed in my state about informant testimony, and definitely going to connect with Kenneth about that. But these issues of injustice, they're so huge, and it covers so many different, from parole and probation to the death penalty. It's a huge line of issues, and it's going to take a concerted effort from all of us to make a difference. It really is.
Right. And each of you, each of you have your fortes that you're good at, and this is where it's so beautiful, because you're going to be able to target all these places. And I just want to recap very quickly, because I know we're running out of time. It is so easily to be wrongfully convicted, but a lot of these people, when they're facing trial too, you've got to understand they're taking plea deals. And like ML said, especially plea deals, these are a contract. This is a contract that you basically you are never going to be able to get out of, or it takes a lot. And thank you for fighting for this. And God bless you both. It has been my pleasure to have each of you on today. I hope to work with you in the future, and I definitely hope to speak to you soon. My best wishes are with you. I know the audience throws them out too. Any last words from either one of you guys?
I did want to quickly plug the situation that I'm prioritizing in my state with my work when anti-death penalty work.
Please.
We have a man on Missouri death row. His name is Ernest Johnson. He is 61 years old, I believe, today. He is on death row for the murder of 3 people in 94, I believe. And Ernest is intellectually disabled. He, there is no question about the fact that he's intellectually disabled. And in 2002, I believe, or 3, the Supreme Court of this country said we're not supposed to execute intellectually disabled people, but they do. And today, Ernest possibly will be getting the execution date. So I really want people to look into his situation. He's the pictures of him. He's the sweetest man. And I've just heard some amazing stories about him. And it's change.org/save Ernest Johnson, with dashes between the save Ernest Johnson. And also our website, madpmo.org, and social media, madpmo. So please go and, sign the petition, share it. We're trying to get support with Ernest, because he deserves mercy. He deserves compassion. He does not deserve to be executed. And this is a weight that's on me every day. And I'm really trying to drum up that support. So maybe another time we'll talk about him a little bit more.
Absolutely. And everybody, it is on the bottom. Again, this is Ernest Johnson, and happy birthday, Ernest. Oh my gosh. It's www.change.org/save-Ernest-Johnson. Again, ML's social media and website is on the bottom now. Everybody, please go and look at this petition, because we are going to be pumping it up. Check out these interviews. We have websites for everybody. That's going to be in the descriptions. Again, it's been my pleasure to have both of you on. Go, children, go. I know that they've got so much to do this morning. Again, it's been my pleasure, and I look forward to speaking to you guys soon, okay?
All right.
Thank you, Shia. Take care.
You're so welcome. All right, everybody. Again, please go and look at Dream Corps Justice. They've got a lot of stuff going on. They are helping people. I need you to look at ML's social media. It's on the bottom right now. Of course, join us at Society-First. We have all the information on Pure Prison. We're on Facebook, Twitter, all of it. Check us out, you guys. Again, this has been a wonderful interview, and I hope you have a beautiful day, everybody. Peace or pain, it's your choice.